In Search of Light, The Journey of Marie Curie. In the heart of 19th century Warsaw, Poland, then under Russian rule, a girl was born who would change the world. Her name was Maria Skłodowska. The world she opened her eyes to was not kind to women who dreamed. Education for girls was scarce. Science for women was unheard of. And political oppression ran deep. Yet, in the heart of this quiet girl burned an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. For truth, for light. Maria's father was a school teacher. And her mother was the principal of a girls' school. The home was filled with books and ideas, but also sorrow. When Maria was just 10 years old, her mother passed away from tuberculosis. Soon after, her eldest sister died of typhus. The double tragedy could have shattered her. But instead, Maria buried herself in her studies. Knowledge became her solace, her shield, the first step toward learning. At that time, women were not allowed to attend universities in Poland. So Maria secretly enrolled in the Flying University, an underground school that defied the government's restrictions and taught women in secret. There she absorbed everything: physics, chemistry, mathematics. But she knew the path to true scientific discovery lay far beyond the borders of her country. That place was Paris, the intellectual capital of Europe. But getting there wasn't easy. Maria was poor, had no connections, and no promise of success. So she made a deal with her sister Bronya. Maria would work as a governess and fund Bronya's medical education in Paris. In return, Bronya would later support Maria's studies years later. Maria arrived in Paris. She enrolled at the Sorbonne and took the name Marie to blend in. Life was brutally difficult. She lived in a tiny, cold attic apartment, often hungry and freezing. Yet her passion never wavered. She studied by candlelight, surviving on bread and tea, while devouring books on physics and mathematics. A partnership of love and science. It was in Paris that Marie met Marie Curie, a quiet, brilliant physicist. Their bond formed over a shared obsession with science. They fell in love, not with flowers and poetry, but with molecules and equations. In 1895, they were married, becoming true partners in both life and discovery together. The Curies embarked on groundbreaking research into radioactivity, a term Marie herself coined. They worked in a makeshift lab, often under dangerous and grueling conditions. With painstaking effort, they processed tons of pitchblende ore to isolate previously unknown elements. Through their tireless experiments, they discovered two new radioactive elements: polonium, named after Marie's homeland, Poland, and radium. The world was stunned. No one had imagined that atoms themselves could be unstable and release energy, a discovery that would later revolutionize medicine, physics, and even warfare. The first Nobel Prize. In 1903, Marie and Pierre Curie, along with Henri Becquerel, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for their work on radioactivity. Marie became the first woman to ever win a Nobel Prize. But for her, it was not about awards, it was about truth. Then tragedy struck. In 1906, Pierre was killed in a street accident. Grief nearly consumed Marie, but she refused to be broken. Instead, she immersed herself in work, stepping into her husband's role at the university. She became the first woman to teach at the Sorbonne, defying centuries of gender barriers. Second Nobel and the Radium Institute. In 1911, Marie Curie received her second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for isolating radium and polonium and studying their properties. She remains the only person in history to win Nobel Prizes in two different scientific fields. By now, Marie was a global figure. Yet, she never sought fame. She founded the Radium Institute, now the Curie Institute, a center for cancer treatment and nuclear research. Her dream was not just to discover, but to heal. When World War I broke out, Marie did not sit idly by. She outfitted mobile X-ray units, known as Little Curies, that helped thousands of wounded soldiers on the battlefield. She trained women to operate them, and often went to the front lines herself. Scandal and silence. Despite her brilliance, Marie faced harsh scrutiny. She was a foreigner in France, a woman in a man's world, and a public figure in an unforgiving era. When her personal relationship with physicist Paul Langevin, a married man, became public knowledge, the media attacked her with venom. She remained silent. Her dignity was her weapon. Even as she was receiving her second Nobel Prize, French newspapers vilified her. But the world of science stood by her. Albert Einstein famously wrote her a letter of support, praising her courage, final years and legacy. Marie's health began to decline in her later years. Decades of working with radioactive materials without protection had taken a toll. She developed aplastic anemia, a condition linked